Hey everybody, I wanted to go over today web scraping, and specifically we're just going to download images from a website, and I'll just be using a free website where all the images are free to use, which is called Unsplash here. So I'll be going over that today. Here we go. So today we're going to be using a couple of dependencies. So if you don't already have Beautiful Soup installed, just go ahead and in your terminal type in pip install Beautiful Soup 4, just like that, and hit enter. Remember, this is in your terminal, not actually your IDE like this. Okay, and then we're also going to be using urlib. So do pip install urlib3, I believe it's on right now. So go ahead and install those dependencies. I've already got them, so I'm just going to get right into it. So first thing we're going to do is import our dependency libraries here. And so urlib, okay, and then I'm going to import bs4 from Beautiful Soup. And make sure your capitalization is on the S and the B. Okay, and what urlib does is that this will allow us to open URLs so that we can access HTML on the internet. And for example, so we're going to be using this web page. And so if I right click and hit inspect, I go here and it will show me the HTML. So these are all the HTML tags that build a website for your viewing. And so we're going to be accessing this data here in our web scraper. Okay, and urlib will allow us to do that. And then what Beautiful Soup will do for us is that it will allow us to pull this data from the HTML. So in our case, we're going to be looking for image tags. So wherever there's an image tag, so for example, here's an image tag right here. So it's going to allow us to pull that. Okay, so that's what those two will be doing for us. So the first thing I want to do is I want to define a function, and I'm just going to say get data, because that's simply what we're going to be doing, is just grabbing the data from there. Okay, so I'm just going to say maybe the web page, and I'm going to use urlib.request, and I'm going to make sure I spell that right, and I'm going to open the URL by saying URL open, and open that URL. Okay, and I'll send it the URL in a bit. Now I have some of this data. I'll just call it soup data, and I'm going to use my Beautiful Soup to pull it. Beautiful Soup, and I'm going to say where, so I'll say the web page, and then I'm going to use HTML parser so that we can parse through that HTML. Okay, and then I'm just going to simply return that soup data. Okay, give myself a little bit room for my next one. So I'm going to say my HTML data. I'm going to access my get data, which I just made right here, and it's expecting this URL. So I need to send it my URL. And in this case, I'm just going to be using this website here, Unsplash. So I'll just copy that URL, come back, and it's expecting it as a string. So I'll make it a string, paste it in there. Okay, so now my get data URL is receiving the actual URL that we want to be web scraping from. Okay. Now I want it to access that URL and I want it to loop through all of the HTML data, but I don't want it to necessarily loop through all the data, but just the image tags. So I'm going to do a for loop. And if you are not familiar with for loops, then you can click on my card up above and watch that video for the basics of a for loop inside of Python. So I'm going to say for each image, I can name that whatever I like. Inside of my HTML data, I want it to specifically find all of the image tags. Okay. So this will parse through the data, and instead of pulling all of the HTML tags, it'll just pull the img tag. Okay, so every single time it finds that, I want it to name it image. Okay, and once it finds that, this is what I want it to do. I want it to find the image link and store it inside of this. So I will do image.get, and I want the actual link from the image tag, not just the image tag. So here's my image tag, and then its source will be here. So here's the actual image source. So it has like a link for each of them. So I'll say get the source, and that will be the actual image link. Okay, and then I want to also pull out the names. So for example, we have, so if we looked at this image, it will have some kind of information on it. Let's see if I can find it here. Here we go. So alt, so silver laptop on white table. Okay, so the reason that we have this alt here is in case that the internet's not able to pull this image, it will say instead silver laptop on white table right here in its place of the image. So I'm going to use these alt tags, and I'm going to use them to actually name my images. So I'm going to say, I'm going to call this my image name, and I'll set that to image.get. Instead of the source, I'm going to get the alt tag, or the alt right there that we found here. Okay, so whatever that is there, I want you to store it inside of image name. Okay, now it's not required for people to put anything inside of alt. So sometimes we're going to get an image that won't have an image name. So if image name is equal to none, in other languages that means null, but in Python it's just none, then I just want you to continue. Don't worry about it. Otherwise, if it does have a name, then I want you to print for us. I'll use string interpolation as usual. I'll say whatever that image name is. So image name, and I'll just leave it at that. Okay, and then I'll give it a little bit of room, and then after it does that, then I want it just to print us out the actual image link. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this and see what it gives us so far. Oh, and I did this a little bit backwards. Sorry about that. So I need to do from over here, from BS4 import beautiful soup. My bad. Okay, now if I clear that and come back, I'll test it and see what we get. And it's just taking a little bit so we can parse through all the data. Here we go. So now we have all these links. So I'm having it print here the image name. Okay, so go to Jimmy Dean's profile. woman in white t-shirt sitting on a chair, and underneath I had it print out the image link. So if I went to, let's say, man in black or black jacket and blue denim jeans standing in brown wooden ladder, and I click on the link, you can see that's exactly what he's doing. So that's working really nicely. Okay, so now we have all that data pulling through that web page through each image tag, and I want to now download those things, and by default it'll just download into my file here, but you can specify. So every time it loops through each image, I want it to take that file. So I'll just say image file, and we can say this open function, and so we're going to name it by, so I'll just say the image name, so whatever that image name was that you just saw, and I'm just going to add an extension to it, so .jpeg or something, or if you want a different format then you can. And then it's going to ask me if I want to make this a read only or anything, but I'm just going to make it a write back. So WB is write back. And now I will do image file dot write, and I'm going to use yourlib dot request dot URL open, and I want it to open this image link, and I want it to read it. Okay, so it's naming it, now it's opening it and reading it so that it can download into my file here, and then we need to close it. So I'll take image file dot close. Okay, so open, read or write, and then close. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this, and because it takes forever to download, I'm just going to give the user a little bit of updates of what's going on. So I'm going to say downloading. Okay, so this is going to be downloading. So over here when I hit run, okay, now it says downloading, so I know that it's doing something. So downloading, now it's running all this data over here, and watch over here at my files. In a little bit it should pop up. Yep. Now you can see that now we have all the file names, and at the end it says .jpeg at the end, which is what we want it to do. So if I go to this MacBook Pro, there's the image of the MacBook Pro. So that is a simple solution of how to do a web scraper. If you have any questions about how I did any of these things, I hopefully explained it well, but let me know if you do. And if you do like these videos, go ahead and drop a like and subscribe to my channel so that you are notified whenever I bring up a new video. And I will talk to you guys later. Happy coding and have a wonderful rest of your day.